He's one of the great Houston Oilers of all time, the 44th overall pick in the 1982 draft, and of course, a legend at West Virginia. He is the XFL commissioner, Oliver Luck, who joins us on the program. Good morning, Commissioner.
Dan, how are you?
I'm doing great. If you could pick out one moment of your professional playing career, what would it be?
My best moment came early in my career. It was my first NFL start for the Oilers, and it was 1983. It was right after that 82 strike-shortened year. We played the Detroit Lions, led by Eric Hipple and Billy Sims, and we broke a relatively long losing streak. It was my first start and first win for the Oilers that season, so that sticks out. It was downhill from there.
How long did you last in the NFL?
I spent 5 seasons.
Oh, okay.
I probably could have played a 6th or a 7th. I was backing up Warren Moon, and I could have played a 6th or a 7th, but I was going to law school in the off season, and I realized that my calling was going to be not on the field, but outside of the field.
And here you are as the XFL commissioner. I think by all accounts a successful debut for the league. What is the goal as the commissioner of the XFL for this league?
Our goal really is pretty simple. We want to stay in the spring, offer high-quality, up-tempo football in the spring, sort of let folks get to know us and understand us, build our own brand, build our own sort of standalone, sustainable teams, and just offer good football. I mean, it's not that complicated. Obviously, football is America's most popular sport, but of course, the spring is the season, and traditionally in which there hasn't been much live football. So that's really our goal. Relatively straightforward. Play good football in the spring.
How important is a partnership with the NFL?
Well, we don't have a formal relationship with the NFL, but as you could imagine,
as a goal,
we've
though.
got. Well, not necessarily. I mean, we've got all the respect in the world for the NFL, and we've got a million touch points with the NFL. But I'm not sure that's an end game for Vince McMahon, our owner. His instructions, his guidance to me is, hey, Oliver, build a sustainable standalone league with our own brands, and we'll respect the NFL. The NFL determines a lot of the sort of things about the ecosystem of professional football, so we have to live within that ecosystem. And we want to have obviously positive relationships, which we do. But I'm not sure that's part of the end game necessarily.
What about going after college talent like the USFL did?
So, we're not subject to the NFL's requirement of 3 years out of high school. That's baked in the CBA. We're not a party to that. We do have the ability to, go and sign a college freshman or a sophomore. There's only one player right now in our league, a guy named Kenny Robinson, who ironically went to my alma mater, West Virginia. He's got college or had college eligibility remaining. He only played 2 years of college ball and then decided that he wanted to play in our league. And he's basically, Dan, using this season, he's playing for Jonathan Hayes in St. Louis. He's using this season as a personal combine, right? Instead of going to the combine and doing the drills, he's said, I need to play. I need to get more tape. I need to play 10 games or 11 games against good competition. And he's doing very well. A lot of scouts anticipate him being a first, second round draft choice. So we haven't really dipped our toe into that particular pond, but we certainly could in the future.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I know Trevor Lawrence is out of your price range, but let's say you had a quarter, or is Trevor Lawrence out of your price range?
I'm not sure I know what his price range is.
Okay. But let's say a freshman quarterback plays well and doesn't want to, he's got to stay for 2 more years. Can you see that would be sort of the gateway that's open here, where somebody could say, instead of playing in college, I can go and make this my own combine, or I can go in and get paid by the XFL a year or 2 years earlier?
That's a distinct possibility. There's about 10,000 Division I college football players, and there are lots of challenges that those young men are facing. So I could see where a guy plays a year, or maybe even 2 years, and says, I need to make some money. I've got to support a family, or we've got illness in the family, or whatever, or academically, I'm not interested in college. I mean, there's so many different stories. The key thing for us is this year we said to ourselves, let's get the best 450 or so players we possibly can. And the typical background of that player is 3 or 4 years of college football, 2 or 3, 4 years of NFL football. I mean, we got former first-round draft choices playing in the XFL. So, we have to make sure that a younger guy would be physically, emotionally, mentally mature enough to compete. The beauty of getting guys that are 3-4 years, in terms of the NFL, the beauty is they're professionals. They know how to act. They know how to respond. They bring a certain professionalism to the job, and that's, we have to make sure a college kid would be, in that same category.
He's the commissioner of the XFL. He's Oliver Luck. Fans can download Play XFL app, and by picking the games currently this week, and you do that correctly, you can win up to $500,000. It's available in both the App Store and Google Play. I'm officially a LA Wildcat, lifelong LA Wildcat fan.
Well, I tell you, my favorite moment this past weekend, I was in D.C. for the D.C. Defenders Seattle Dragons game. Cardale Jones threw a couple of nice balls early in the first quarter, and almost 20,000 fans there broke out in an MVP chant.
I know.
Right? So,
we laughed about that.
Awesome. It's awesome as these guys, these fans, sort of create their own little environment, and obviously we're brand new, and so that's been a really fun part to watch as the fans begin to fill these brands with energy in their own little stories.
What did your son think of the XFL?
He's been pretty upbeat. He's been a little bit of a sounding board for me, as you'd suspect. He knows virtually all the players in the league, so he's given me some tips about certainly about some of the quarterbacks that we went out and signed. He's friendly with guys like Landry Jones and Josh Johnson, and I don't know if he knows Cardale, but Philip Walker, P.J. Walker, who's down in Houston, playing very well. He was on the Colts practice squad for a couple years, so he's given me some good advice.
Does Andrew need a job?
No, he doesn't. Thank you for asking. He's Mr. Mom right now. He and his wife had their first child about 3 months ago, so he's doing a lot of babysitting.
He disappeared. How surprising! I mean, I know he's different, Oliver, but maybe it doesn't surprise you. I think people kept saying, "Oh, he's got to come back," and I go, "Why would he come back to the sport that put him in this mindset of I'm going to walk away from this, and there's something else to life than football?" The media and fans wanted him back. I mean, he had the smart assessment, in my opinion, but he just disappeared. That's remarkable for an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of these millennials that isn't involved with social media, and there's still, I guess there's still a handful of those guys out there. And as a result, it was really very easy for him to, just to get out of the spotlight and live his own life. I really admire Dan. Anybody who's played in the league who leaves on his own terms, right? So watching Luke Kuechly, for example, right? Yeah. Great career, great player. And I love it when a guy says, I'm in control. I'm going to walk away when I want to walk away. I'm not going to let the game determine when my career is over. Guys like me were told when we were done. But, I really admire that because that's taking control. And it's also taking control of your post-playing future, which is critical for a lot of guys.
And they finally got an offensive line for him. That was my problem. I kept railing on the Colts going, you're going to get this guy killed, then you get a good offensive line, a good team, and then all of a sudden it's really the accumulation, I think, of all those years where Andrew probably just said, I don't want to do this. If I can't be great, be healthy, I'm not going to do it and walk away. Do you get that?
Well, he did sort of lament to me that the Colts had such a good offense, as he was working through his own issues. Chris Ballard has done an excellent job. That is my GM of the year, and it's a small market, and they ended up kind of losing some gas towards the end of the season this year. But I think the world of Chris Ballard. He's one of the best.
What is the new rule that you think the NFL is going to go? I think we like that. Or the element that the NFL will sample here?
So the one I think that makes the most sense, I have no idea what the NFL would do, but the one that makes the most sense because the underlying rationale is solid is our kickoff, right? So, we tried to create a kickoff that gives us two things. One, more kickoff returns. That's what fans want to see, right? They don't want to see the guy kicking the ball out of the end zone. That's not a great football play. They want to see a return. And the second reason is safety, player safety. That matters in today's world. So as we developed our kickoff, that underlying rationale was everything for us, right? Let's get more returns, and we'll get virtually 95% returns, from our kickoffs, as opposed to the sort of 30 or 35% in the NFL, and it's safer. And I don't think anybody can argue with the underlying rationale. That's really the key. So all these rule innovations, we've got about a dozen or so that that are where we differentiate ourselves from the NFL. It's all about the underlying rationale, and I think that's where we started, and that's where I think anybody else, including the NFL and the competition committee, would start. So who knows what the league will do? I can't speak on behalf of the National Football League, but we certainly like the innovations, and I think fans more or less have said that, hey, these are pretty good. These are smart.
Good to talk to you, Oliver, and my best to the league and what you're doing, and say hello to Andrew for us.
Will do. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. That's Oliver Luck, the XFL commissioner, former player, and, of course, father of Andrew Luck.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune into Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV. Stream for free on BR Live or download the Dan Patrick Show app.